All right, man, take a seat, buckle up. Ordinarily, we'd start with orientation of the car here, but we got calls pending, and we got to get to them. So, we're rolling. We're going to have to learn on the way. All right, today I set the car up. I'd like to look at the concealability of the J-frame revolver, and I'm going to compare it directly with the Glock 26, Glock 27 size pistol, because it seems very often, in fact, if you look at the old ads for these guns, they compared them in size directly to the J-frame and tried to make them off to be a pocket gun, which I haven't really seen to be the case in my use. One of the common things that gets pointed out is that they're about the same size if you stack them on top of each other, which is true. The height and length end up being about the same when you stack them, but the concealability is affected by more than that. Now on paper, as I've often said, things get a little muddled because numbers can sometimes lie to us, and one of the things the numbers lie about with these two guns when you're comparing them, and you're comparing them for concealability, is in the width. And I'll show you what I mean here. When somebody quotes the width of this, they include the cylinder, and when they quote the width of this, they include the width of the entire gun. But the difference here is that this gun is the same 1.18 inches all the way around. And this gun, that big thick width, is just in the cylinder. And if you take the width of just the barrel and the frame of the J-frame revolver, it's a lot thinner. It's closer to 3/4 of an inch, which makes it about the same size in a pocket as a .380. Now that's all well and good for me to say, but since I'm comparing the concealability of these two guns against each other, I'm going to show them to you actually in my pocket. So this is a J-frame just jammed into a pants pocket. As you can see, it kind of looks like maybe a wad of keys or a large wallet in my pocket, but it's easy to get to. While the trigger on these little J-frames is really manageable, the Smith & Wesson J-frames are manageable, they're also still pretty heavy. So as long as it's in a pocket and there's nothing else in there, there shouldn't be anything that could pull the trigger. From the outside, you'd have a really hard time fitting your finger into the trigger mechanism and pulling back with enough force to make it go off, unless you were actually intending on doing that. So as you can see from the front, it's not really all that noticeable. From the side, it's not really all that noticeable. The thinner, I should say the deeper the pockets, the easier it is to conceal these. And this is a great way to conceal, to have just a backup gun, even when you're carrying a larger pistol. Now this is the same thing with a subcompact Glock. Yeah, that looks like a gun. I mean, there's really no two ways about it. I either have the largest, thickest phone ever that's shaped like a gun, or I have a gun in my pocket. And to add insult to injury to that, it's only a 5.5 pound trigger. Well, there's that trigger safety on there. I don't know if I'd suggest this without a holster. You put a holster on this, and it's even thicker. It sticks out even more. It's just kind of silly. Now, there's times when I would carry this in a pocket, but it wouldn't be a front pants pocket like this. It's just way too big for that, in my opinion, for me. Now, one of my favorite methods to carry in the summertime, at least to carry a backup gun, is to just throw a pistol in a pocket holster in a cargo pocket. As you can see, it doesn't really stick out as anything. With a small light J-frame, it really doesn't bounce around that much. It just kind of sits. It does sit a little low, but as a backup gun, it's there, it's accessible. I can reach in and get the pistol out. In this particular case, I like to use the Nemesis pocket holsters, which are kind of sticky on the outside and slick on the inside. You can't really see from when I have it in my pocket, but the draw stroke with this type of pocket holster in a cargo pocket, you grab a hold and flick the holster off with your finger. I find that works really well. Now you can do the same thing with a subcompact Glock pistol, but you're going to notice that it's a little bulkier. It definitely looks like there's something big in there that people would be suspicious of if they're looking for a pistol. And also, it's heavier, so when you walk, you kind of get more of the sway motion back and forth with the pistol swaying on your side. So as you can see, while on paper, these two may seem comparable in width and weight and profile, they're not really the same thing. Your J-frame revolver, especially your aluminum or scandium frame ones, are going to be significantly easier to conceal than a subcompact Glock pistol. So if you are looking for something that's the ultimate in concealability for a full power cartridge, this one being a .357 Magnum, then the revolver is the way to go if you're willing to deal with the fact that there's only 5 rounds. If you feel that you need a 9 or a 40 with 9, 10, or 11 rounds in it, then the Glock 27 isn't a bad option, but you do give up a fair amount of concealability going with this option for the on-paper advantage of having extra rounds. Well, if you like that video, go ahead and subscribe, because there's a whole lot more to come. As soon as I finish up these calls, go 10-8. County 291. 291.